Hi there everyone, welcome back to On the Flip Side. My name is Adam Shawalker, your host, and today we're going to be checking out this new album from Yin Yin, the Age of Aquarius. This is the second album from Netherlands-based group Yin Yin, which blends dance, disco, and Western psychedelia with Southeast Asian pop styles and sensibilities. This new album is a bit of a refinement of their debut with the rabbit that hunts tigers, but with a keen sense of making safe moves and not pushing things too far. And ultimately what this means for this album is that there are many moments that feel like leftovers from this first album, an album that I find to be excellent in its own right, but it is a bit of a shame that many of these songs don't feel as fresh as the material on that album did. There is still an abundance of groove and style on every one of these songs, but the formula does grow more predictable with each listen. At the very least, this album is much shorter and much more focused with a runtime just over 30 minutes. One thing this album does do quite well though compared to their last record, even though it's not super consistent and there is a tangible moodiness in a lot of these tracks while remaining very familiar and not reaching too far, they still manage to bring a bit more maturity to the table and a little bit more to this sound through very emotive performances. From the beginning of Satya Yuga, you can tell there's a much greater sense of emotional depth, and even with this just being an intro or segue track, this song still does a fantastic job kind of easing you into the mood of the record. The follow-up track, Chong Wang, kicks off a familiar, flowy, acid-drenched, reverbed-out dance track that swings to its own beat very nicely. I like the electronic production they layer up here. There's a groove that is not only infectious but is incredibly interesting to pick apart as well. Shenzhou or Shenzhou 5 or Shenzhou V continues down this catchy beat-driven style with some really cool synth work that I find is a bit underutilized here. The intro for this song is very cool and I would have liked to have heard more synth in that style, but it barely comes up during the rest of the track, which is still a solid song, but it does leave me wishing that something more strange had happened musically. I find that a lot of the stuff on this album is particularly good work music. Part of the benefit of not having any lyrics is that it makes it really easy to just kind of have on while doing just about anything. The notion that this music is really even trying to be captivating though is kind of silly, as this is mostly at its root a dance record, and what it does not do in an artistic sense, it fulfills in a spirited sense of groove, melody, and ability to swing. Faya Dansu, or I think it's supposed to be pronounced like Fire Dancer, is probably one of the more compelling cuts on this album, with a short and slow brooding track that stays simple but feels a little bit at odds with some of the more upbeat songs on this album. Though I am glad that there's this thematic shift for this one, and it adds a little bit of variety, adds a little bit of drama. Decline by Universe continues this slower approach to blending these calm beats with a guitar part that is kind of like a classical Indian style mixed with like an Old West style like scale. I like the way the song builds up for the last segment of the track, which doubles down on this very lax beat with a reiteration and advancement of the structure, but with more synths, more electronica, and more general headroom or general headiness. The track Nautilus is probably the highest point on this album. The whole song is just incredibly solid and presents some of the most infectious grooves on the whole record, despite this song not being the most out there on the album. I do think that Yin Yin are at their best when they're channeling this chill wave dance music. The title track, The Age of Aquarius, sees the band in a very hypnotic trance-like style with lots of fun sample work and an over-the-top electronic assault of sound. This track feels like they're trying their best to work within the genre and still bring something different to the table. It ends up being a bit underwhelming, but it is still pretty well put together. The final track, Kali Yuga, ends up being a pretty decent album closer. I like the soundscape work they do in the song a lot. While they're very in touch with their dancier songs, it seems like if they wanted to, they could very easily translate their style to these more avant-garde ambient songs, and I actually would like to see more of this style from them. I do really enjoy a lot of this record purely in a sense that this is a very smooth, very easy listen that you can put on and kind of just listen to in most any situation. With that being said, the quality of the actual songs here, while pretty good in most cases, is mostly just that. It's just good. There's very few outstanding moments here where they really push the boundaries, with the exception of maybe Chong Wang and Kali Yuga. And really, while I do enjoy this album for what it does, I think that there's a much bigger growth potential for these guys if they were to redirect their sound a bit and mix in the dance tracks with more of these ambitious styles. Maybe not even necessarily like ambient tracks, but they clearly have a creative itch for something that isn't just dance, and I would really like to hear them explore that avenue. For all the enjoyment I've gotten out of this this record, there's just been many times now where I'm just not super engaged with the listen. It's a smooth, cool, dancey album that I find to hit just right, but it doesn't inspire much thought past the surface level. I really hope that the next release from these guys is a little bit more varied and willing to take some more risks. Age of Aquarius is a decent 6. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you thought of the album in the comments below, and if you liked this video, leave a like and maybe subscribe to the channel. Thank you all so much again for watching. If you guys want to help support the channel even further, you can check out my Instagram or my Reverb store. Links to those are in the description below. Thanks again, and we'll see you on the flip side.